This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. This hour, we're talking about hauntings, ghosts. Ooh, you know, those spirits that roam through the sky that so many people claim to have seen. My guest this hour is Sylvia Shults, and she's been a paranormal investigator for several years now. She began her career as a ghost hunter as a result of doing the research for her nonfiction books of ghosts of the Illinois River, I should say. Her fascination with ghosts dates back to her childhood, and she is an avid reader who was raised on Grimm's fairy tale. Let me see here. A few years ago, she was inspired to write a collection of people's supernatural experiences at the Peoria State Hospital in Bartonville, Illinois. The project quickly swelled into Fractured Spirits, Hauntings at the Peoria State Hospital. The book incorporates the history of the asylum, as well as many ghost stories that have arisen out of the asylum's abandonment. In an effort to separate fact from fiction, she thoroughly explores the true history of the hospital. Her website, www.sylviashults.com. And Sylvia, welcome to the X-Zone.
I'm delighted to be here, Rob. Thank you.
Tell me, what was it that inspired you to become a ghost hunter?
Oh, well, I have always loved true ghost stories ever since I was a little kid. I read every single book of true ghost stories the library had, everything I could get my hands on. And when I grew up, I realized, hey, you know what? I could go out and have these adventures for myself, and I can write about them, and other people can read them. And it's the best job in the world.
Tell me, have you ever seen a ghost?
I actually have. I used to answer no to that question, but I was at the Pollock Hospital, at the asylum, at the Peoria State Hospital, and I actually did end up seeing something. I was down in the basement of the Pollock Hospital, the morgue of the Pollock Hospital, and there was a group down there already, so the group I was with decided to go to a different part of the building to ghost hunt. And I've got this thing where I really don't like being the last person out of a dark room that I know is haunted. So I made sure there was somebody behind me as we went through the dark morgue and up the stairs and into the kitchen of the building. And the sensitive that was with us said, there's somebody behind us. And I thought to myself, well, duh, there's somebody behind me. I made sure there was somebody behind me. There is a big heavy metal door at the top of the stairs. And I stopped and I held the door for this woman that was behind me. I could see her perfectly well. Straight blonde hair. She was wearing a blue puffy ski jacket. I stopped and I held the door at the top of the stairs for her. And when I looked down the stairs behind me, she wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do we know she was a ghost?
Well, the sensitive that was with us said, well, yeah, she'll just come to the top of the stairs, and that's as far as she'll come. And I said, oh, so the person that I saw behind me wasn't actually there. And the sensitive said, yeah, that's right. She just likes to hang out in the basement.
Now, was this a sensitive that had knowledge of the asylum before? Had this sensitive done many ghost hunting jaunts
Oh,
there?
yes. She was a volunteer at the asylum for a couple of years, so she was very familiar with the spirits there.
Why do you think some people see ghosts and others don't?
Oh, man, I wish I knew. I wish I knew so that I could trick myself into seeing more things than I actually do. I just think it's a matter of sensitivity and being open and aware of that sort of thing.
So why do ghosts remain in a place? Why don't they just leave?
Well, there are a couple of reasons a ghost would hang around a place, and one is very, very bad and one is very, very good. There are ghosts that hang around places because they have unfinished business or because they suffered a tragic death, and that the terror and the pain keeps them there. And the other reason that a ghost would hang around is simply because they're comfortable where they are. And when you say haunted asylum, everyone automatically assumes that it was a place of pain and fear and abuse.
Right.
And I am intensely grateful that during the research for this book, I discovered that the Peoria State Hospital was not a place of fear and abuse. It
All
was
right,
a place of
let's talk about the Peoria State Institute when we come back from this 2-minute commercial break.
Okay.
Exonation, my guest this hour is Sylvia Shults. Her website is www.sylviashults.com. That's SYLVIASHULTS.com. And Sylvia and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our family of broadcasters and satellite programming providers. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, a guiding light, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. Sylvia Shults is my special guest. She's the author of Fractured Spirits, Hauntings at the Peoria State Hospital. And her website is www.sylviashults.com. Sylvia, you and I were talking about the asylum, and you were saying that many people, as soon as you hear asylum, you think of tragedy, you think of crime, you think of horror. And yet, during your research, you found stories to the contrary.
Yes, I was absolutely delighted to find that. When you think of haunted asylums, your mind automatically goes to places like Penhurst or any number of horrible, horrible places. But the Peoria State Hospital was really a diamond in all of this muck that was around. It was a place of caring. It was a place of hope. Dr. Zeller, the superintendent of the hospital when it started out, made sure to take the bars off of the windows. He refused to have any of the cottages locked. He said, these people don't lock their doors at home. Why would we lock them in when they've come here for help? The asylum started in 1902, so very different time than our days today. He forbade the use of straitjackets and restraints and handcuffs and straight gowns. He put everything that was like that into a room next to his office. And the only reason he kept it was for his staff to point to and say, never again, not here, not at this institution.
Well, would you consider the Institute at the time of its inception and the time of this doctor who decided to have an open-door policy, were they catering to the high-risk mental cases that we know were back then in that time as well as they are in present-day time?
Well, the only locked wards were the violent wards for the men and the violent ward for the women. Other than that, the patients that came to the asylum were treated with kindness, no matter what their affliction. They were treated with human decency.
Wow.
And Dr. Zeller just believed that was the way to treat people and the way to cure them. And they did have the highest rate of cure for a very, very long time. The asylum actually started out as the Illinois Asylum for the Incurable Insane. And that was in 1902. And by 1904, Dr. Zeller had gone to the state legislature and said, you need to change the name of this place. He said, you do not tell my patients they are incurable. I'm here to do just that.
Fascinating man. In your opinion, what is the first haunting that has been reported at the asylum?
The very first haunting, a very, very famous ghost story to come out of the asylum's history, is the story of Old Book. There was a patient that came to the asylum in 1906, and he had suffered a complete nervous breakdown at work. And he worked in a bookbindery. So all anybody knew about this guy was that he had worked in a bookbindery, and his breakdown was so complete that he was unable to tell the intake nurses his name. So they just wrote his name down in the ledger as a manual bookbinder. So he became known as Old Book. Well, one of Dr. Zeller's genius ideas was to give every patient at the asylum a job to do. Kept them occupied, give them something to do during the day. So Old Book's job was to dig graves in the cemetery and just cemetery upkeep and whatnot. So every funeral he attended, he would stand by the grave and he would start to cry. And he became uncontrollably sad, and he would eventually walk away from the grave and go to lean against the graveyard elm in the middle of the graveyard and just howl and carry on and just weep his heart out. He did this at every funeral he attended. So after a while, Old Book himself passed away. And his funeral was very well attended because he was very well liked at the asylum. And when they went to lower his coffin into the ground, they pulled up on the ropes to lower the coffin into the grave, and the coffin just bounced up into the air as though it were empty. And at that